Some say PhD stands for piled high and deep. Today's guest is piling it high and deep. Sales, that is. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, we have Dr. Zvi Guterman, all the way from Israel via San Francisco. I actually got to go up and meet him and his team. Some cool things they're doing in the entrepreneur nonprofit space. Very cool. Met some interesting people, motivational people, women in business, immigrants from Israel, launching ideas. It was great to meet one of my guests in person. I rarely get to meet my guests, believe it or not. Mostly it's my fault. I don't like traveling, so I don't do much. But as I record this intro, I'm about to head to London to see my son, and then over to Slovenia to give a keynote talk. So I'll be doing some traveling, but I'm getting paid to do it, so it's all good. But it was great catching up with Zvi. I have to say that right. It does not roll off my Cajun Texan tongue. But really nice guy, super smart, surrounding himself with really smart people. This is his second venture that he has launched. His first one was successful. This one is already successful. So the tips that he talks about and the actual product, you're going to enjoy learning. But, we get into how to validate an idea, how to test it, how to launch it, how to monetize it. And he, answered all the questions, as all my guests do. They're open books. So it was cool having him in. So if you need more help opening books, getting your clients to open their books, getting your prospects to open their appointment books to see you, and then open their checkbooks, check out Make Every Sale, would you? MakeEverySale.com. 1 year guarantee, 12-month equal payments. It's affordable, super affordable, especially when you consider how much help you get. I don't pawn this off to some licensee or somebody. This is direct access to me. So shorten your sales cycle by years. Literally shorten your learning curve. I've been doing this 22 years and counting. I can help you shorten the sales cycle. All right? Let me help you. MakeEverySale.com. Now let's bring on our guest. Dr. Zvi Guterman, all the way from San Francisco, founder of CloudShare. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Hi, Wes. This is perfect. Lovely to be here with you.
Did I get your name right?
Yes, you did.
All right. This is, I was talking about this previously. I feel like this is like the United Nations, man. I've had guys, the last couple of months from all over the world. So it's great getting different perspectives. And I love showing my listeners, how if you work, you can succeed here, right? Doesn't matter your background. I mean, you have an accent, as everyone can tell, and it's not a Texas accent like mine. So, but it's still an accent. So when did you come to the U.S.?
Sure. I usually tell people if something isn't clear, it's my Tennessee accent. So, so I moved from Israel about almost 10 years now since I moved to the States. The accent doesn't go. My English is improving, but the accent is still here.
And what is your background? What did you study?
I study CS. I actually have a PhD in computer science and math in breaking cipher. So I started on the technology side and moved gradually from the engineering to the product and later to SEO.
So how did you make the transition from technical, analytical mindset to launching a business? Because it's not always easy to do.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it was an interesting journey. When I started technology, I was a geek, maybe still is. And I loved the technology. I loved programming. I was exploring early on with the Sinclair Spectrum days, if you remember. And it was a lot of fun. And over time, I found that programming by itself is an enabler, but actually, in order to get the big picture, that's what pushed me to one, explore also the product side. So understanding that if you don't put the right requirements, then you can program all day, but you may go the wrong way. And later on, I found it even more interesting for me to see even again the bigger picture and talk about again raising money, setting the direction for the company, setting the goals, setting the market. And for me, that was the journey that took me about 15 years in my career. I love still the foundation that I have in technology. It's wonderful, and it allows me to better understand again what we do. But I found that I'm very excited about the business aspect.
So are you saying you have to know why you're coding to make your coding worthwhile? Is that what you're saying?
For me, yes. For me, yes. I think that you see, of course, different people, of course, that developers that just love programming and they love hitting the keyboard daily and solving challenges and design and that's great. And again, I have a wonderful team that does that, and many of them you can see them arguing to the late hours of the day about, wow, should we use this technology or should we do that? What I find more and more exciting is understanding, I think very relevant for our call today, what do people really need? How is it influencing the way they do business? And I found that very interesting. And I think that, for me, that's what's so exciting in B2B. The fact that you really understand businesses, you really understand what they're paying, what makes their life more efficient, and hopefully you are able to contribute to them.
Right. Well, I've always told people, what makes me unique, right? I'm like, because they'll ask, why should I do business with you? And I became a geek over time. I mean, I can't program like you, but I understand technology. But at first, I'm a salesman, and I tell people that I approach the business problem from a salesman's perspective. And I apply enough technology to get the job done. Whereas, do you see the geeks of the world like applying technology just because they can, and kind of losing sight of the big picture?
Sure, I agree, and I think that's actually I meet young entrepreneurs on a weekly basis, and I think unfortunately that's the reason why so many startups fail. Or again, one of the reasons, of course, why startups fails, because someone gets too excited about some technology and say, okay, this is the technology is so cool and we can do that, and not realizing that is there a business need, or will it justify, or maybe is it true for other people? Maybe he's so passionate about that he may pay for that, but I'm not sure if other users will pay. And I think we see that with entrepreneurs daily. So I love your approach, and I think that's the right way to go with the market.
So how did you make that change? You made that shift. How do you determine what the marketplace in general will pay for versus, one customer with one unique need that's not scalable?
Sure. I think one of the advantages actually that I always tell entrepreneurs is actually with B2B is that usually if you meet enough, and enough is actually a short list of prospects, and they give you a strong validation, then you are in the right place. And short list meaning, let's talk about our use case, CloudShare, that we provide IT labs on demand. And again, we can take any other solution. Once I spoke with 10, 20 relevant prospects, and usually with B2B, that's actually a good number, and you get some validation, then you are in the right place. So we actually, when we started CloudShare, we spoke probably with 200 prospects, and the level of validation was very strong. And I think it's true for many, again, on the enterprise side. If you speak with 10, 20, 30, and you start to see repetition, you start to say, hey, if I do that, then 6 out of 10 are ready to pay and need what I'm about to deliver, then you have a start.
Gotcha. So you found a need. How do you monetize it? Right? How do you scale? Because there's needs everywhere. Right? I mean, ideas are a dime a dozen. How do you become profitable filling a need?
Yeah, sure. That's okay. That may take us hours, but
no, you have 3 minutes. Go.
Sure, I'll give you my short version. Of course, part of the validation is for us to ask: is it a vitamin or painkiller? Of course, how much will you pay? And you know what? Let me give you maybe a funny story from my history. I remember one of my first trips to the US with my co-founder, and we invested a lot of energy to, of course, to create these meetings, and we got to, I think it was a Fortune 500 CIO, and we kind of describing the solution, and we're coming out of the meeting, and the guy was saying to us, wow, that sounds so cool, it's a game-changing. You know what? When you have something stable and it's working, shoot me an email. And we kind of getting out of the meeting and we're giving each other high fives and hugging, say, wow, we won that one. And he actually said no to us. He actually, that was, and now when I'm meeting entrepreneurs, and you again, I'm sure that you know that very well, that again, usually in the States, and then again, you were talking about culture and people around the world, people are polite, people are nice, so they'll say, okay, that sounds like a super interesting idea. Tell me when you have a stable version. And what you're actually looking to hear, I'm giving entrepreneurs kind of a scale. The best answer is, you know, I have 100K for my son college fund. Can I invest it in your startup? Like, that's a strong yes. So that's usually very hard to get, of course. And maybe you don't want to risk someone college fund in your venture. But actually, there are other, I think, validations that are like, can I be the first user? Can I pay you now? And or you can get into that dialogue, of course, as we know as good salespeople, that you can say, you know what, we're going to have just three beta customers. Will you, dear prospect, is that interesting enough for you to be in that short list? Will you be able to commit? Is it worth 6 digits for you? Do you have the budget, etc.? Again, maybe I'm going too long.
How hard was that as a geek, right? As a technologist first, how hard was it to make the shift to being a salesperson, right? Because you're asking for the order right then.
Yes.
And was that uncomfortable at first?
Somewhat. And I think for me personally, I'm still consider myself as an introvert. And I think I mentioned earlier, it was a journey. I should say, again, going back, this is my second company. And my second startup. And again, we had a security startup that we eventually sold. And at my first startup, I was the technology leader. I was the CTO, founder CTO. And I remember my first trips, again, talking about the same meetings, where I'm coming to some CIO and or again, any executive, and I'm bragging about the technology, how great it is, what best in, and the guy didn't really listen. Like, he was interested in other things, like integration with someone. Because, again, he had other needs than my vision. He needed some reporting. And that, for me, you were asking earlier, for me, that was part of the transition into the business area and the realization that technology by itself, in my opinion, is wonderful and important, but you need really to understand the pain on the other side. You need to understand the needs, and you need to ask for the order. Otherwise, you stay with wonderful concepts and technology that may be relevant for the academic world and less for the business side.
But I mean, was that a hard transition? I mean,
on the personal side, actually, again, it was fun. Actually, on the personal, again, I said I'm still an introvert, but I found it fun. It's challenging. No one loves to get no as an answer, but I found, and I think it's part of entrepreneurship, that I found it compelling when someone needs your solution, someone pays for it, you try to negotiate and you see, oh, I can ask for 200 instead of 100. And he actually agrees. I'm asking to prepayment for 3 years. And actually the prospect says maybe. And I found it very interesting on the personal side, and I found it as challenging. And I think we all love challenges, or again, many of us love challenges, and I enjoyed it.
But what about those that don't? I mean, I even work a lot with entrepreneurs, with salespeople that still struggle with rejection, right? How long did it take you? Like, how many of those maybes did you get before you realized, okay, that's not a yes, that's a maybe. I need to get a commitment, to make this thing work?
Yeah, sure. First, if you don't like it too much, you again definitely as an entrepreneur you are in the wrong room. I can tell you that when I raised money, which is another sales process, like asking investors for to believe in you and the vision, I think we got about 30 no or maybe or not now before we got the first $1 million investment. For me, and what I think it's also a delicate line where you need enough confidence that even if the market is saying no, do you still really believe in your vision, in your solution, in what you're solving? And on the other hand, you need to listen carefully to what the market is telling you. So you need this balance between being confident, have a lot of drive, break the wall, and go and sell, while you still listen and get the feedback, and maybe you are in the wrong place. So I look in entrepreneurs in this delicate balance between, again, determinism and good understanding of the market.
Did having a partner help with that? Like, were you able to kind of encourage one another?
Yes, somewhat. I think, again, people say that we were 3 founders in CloudShare, and I think it's common practice that that's the magic number, somewhere between 2 and 3 co-founders for a company. I think I can see others doing that alone. It all depends, but yes, for us, definitely it was helpful as we were able to take the feedback, analyze it, and really understand where we stand.
How would you describe your partners? Are they fellow geeks, coders, or are you all like opposite ends of the spectrum to complement one another?
In our case, we actually knew each other before we worked together, and the 3 of us were geeks, and I was kind of transitioning out, if you may, into the business side, while I think we had a good balance where one of us was moving towards the product aspect. I was going to the business aspect, and the third co-founder was really interested in the programming, in selecting the programming language, the architecture, etc. So we had a good balance. between the three of us, between business, product, and engineering.
And did that just naturally happen, or did you have a meeting and say, okay, here's the division of labor that's needed, who's going to do this, that, and the other?
No, it was by design. I selected my two co-founders as I knew that I'm interested to lead the company as a CEO. And this was my second company. It was clear to me that I want to lead the business side, and I was looking for two co-founders that will complement me.
And so how is that conversation? You call up, is it kind of like forming a band? Hey, I need a drummer. Hey, I need a keyboardist, and since you're founding it, do you say, hey, it's my idea, I get the biggest ownership, but you get some, or we're equal owners? I mean, how does that conversation evolve?
I never started a band, and I'm.
Well, you should. You and I should start a band.
I can play the piano, in my case, and I don't think that you usually. Again, in my case, I knew what I was looking for, and for my network, I thought about two people that I worked in the past, and I reached out to them with an offer saying, here's what I want to do. I want you to join me. Here's my offer as of equity. Here's what I'm thinking. I want to start. And actually, these two were available or were interested. One of them left a senior position in a public company, actually, but I knew that he was eager to join me, and the other agreed as well, and that we started.
Had you already raised money, or was this kind of a leap of faith? They jumped in with you?
They jumped with me, and we raised our first $1 million very quickly, like in less than a quarter.
Okay. But it was still kind of a risk, right? I mean, you... Yes.
It's definitely, again, if someone listening to us today and think that there is no risk, then again, let's not mislead someone. Yes, startup is the world of risk, right? You're jumping off a cliff, you have no parachute, and you're not sure if there is water where you jump to, right? And
right.
And you do that because you think you can make a change, and you think that there is a market, and you think that you have the right solution, and you have passion for that. Again, I found what's pushing me. Again, I was fortunate, and this venture was very rewarding for me financially. But I found for myself that I'm doing that, and that's now for altogether over 20 years, because I have passion for that. I love starting new companies. I love what we talked earlier about this. You start with a concept, and you think that you can change, you can hopefully improve. In our case, it's enterprise IT, and we think that we can improve and we can let professionals automate certain things, and then you validate. You also correct. You find something that you were wrong, and you adjust, and you fix, and then you do your hire, and you learn about hiring, and you change and improve. And I found for myself that I just love that. I work long hours, and I'm fortunate. I'm doing something that I really love to do.
So, had you already created kind of some source code, or the beginnings, or was it just the idea, and you bring your two co-founders on, and like, did you start coding then, or was it, what's like the very early stages?
So maybe we should rewind. So it's a problem that I was familiar with. IT labs. This is 2007. I was thinking about a service that will allow professionals to go online, kind of software as a service, more than a cloud even these days. Early days of cloud, no real cloud service. And I was thinking about a service that you can go online, you can allocate some IT lab for yourself and run it for QA. Actually, my original idea was QA. I was familiar again with large teams of developers, and the original idea was to provide an online service for IT labs that allows you to pick a lab, use it, maybe use 100 copies, have a lot of scalability, flexibility, really automation of IT lab work. And with that, I approached my two co-founders. We started drafting a presentation. We were planning what can we achieve in the first year. We had no source code. To your question, no source code at the time. We were starting to think about pricing, about go-to-market. We were still based in Tel Aviv, Israel, thinking about the US market, and starting to raise money. We started approaching investors just with a deck of slides. Again, we got many no's, many maybes, maybe if after you show us more validation, etc. And at some point, we started getting offers. Again, after 30 no, we started getting offers. And we got 2 offers, and we picked the best one. And we were on our way to get others, but we were very happy with the terms. So we took the $1 million, and we defined what we want to achieve in the first year, which was mainly to create this initial product that would allow us to approach the market while we meet and validate in parallel with a lot of potential prospect partners, etc. And that's what we did.
So you get the funding, and it's still just the 3 of you?
Yes, at that point, yes.
So who was the first person you hired?
Eventually, it became a programmer. But what happened, if you want to describe it, we started flying. We knew that the target market for us was the US. We were still based in Tel Aviv. And again, you talked about the structure of the 3 of us. So one started leading the technology, starting to see what kind of virtualization are we going to use. Can we use open source, VMware? Where are we going to use hosting? And we're starting to play with the technology and make decisions. The 2 of us, again, the product guy and myself, we started approaching the market, and we used all possible networking we had to meet with as many people as possible and get their validation, get their feedback, as discussed before. Does it make sense? Will you pay for it? How much will you pay? What solution are you using today? What will be the process for you? What kind of key features will you need? And within 2 quarters, we decided that while this IT labs as a service can be used for many different verticals, actually the first one is sales enablement. We started meeting, again, we started from the CIOs, VP of R&Ds, and then we started seeing that actually there is another group many times that is run by sales engineering, by solution center, sometimes by the VP of sales, sometimes by product marketing, that are tasked with providing demos and POCs. And they were doing that for years, and empowering sales engineers. And they were putting a lot of energy into that. And we started connecting the dots where we said to ourselves, whoa, our lab can be super functional for these people. We actually even found some organizations that they created their own toy lab. Again, it wasn't very powerful, but they were building their own lab in-house. And we found others that were sending heavy servers, and I remember that we were just talking about the FedEx, that's the shipment, the FedEx fees for shipping the servers was a significant number. So, and we thought, wow, this is exactly where an online service is a good match. So we decided, that was our first pivot. We decided that instead of approaching the QA people that had the need, but QA people don't have huge budget, so okay, if we can approach the sales organization, the budget is far bigger. We should provide a demo environment. We thought about it as a good evolution for the WebEx. So we thought, okay, WebEx is the first step. This is presentation. We're going to take it to the next level and provide IT environment for demo. When you can get the hands-on, when you need the hands-on, you can start for the demo and go to the POC.
So in the beginning, I mean, were you cold calling? You know, did you create like your ideal buyer persona and just start reaching out? Did you have referrals from maybe some of your initial investors?
No, we didn't do cold calling. We were using our own network and from investors, from our prior jobs, so anyone that we could get a hold of. And every meeting, like we had a task to ourselves. Again, early on startup, we were saying to ourselves, every meeting we must learn something new, at least one, and get 2 or 3 introductions. So we didn't leave the table before we were getting 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3 more good introductions. And that was the initial list. We also, at some stage, we started approaching group of sales engineering. I think at the beginning there was some interesting group in LinkedIn that we found that was for sales engineering, and we created some good dialogues over there. But we didn't do, at that stage, we didn't do any cold calling or anything. Later in the year, when we were already developing the product, we started doing more traditional marketing efforts. But the initial efforts were all based on our network.
So obviously there's a difference between someone saying they like the idea and that they would pay for an idea versus actually paying for the idea, right? As you mentioned early on, you know, at what point did you start asking for and collecting money, right? Like while it was still in beta, like were you charging for beta users, or, you know, did you say, hey, we'll give it to you free for 90 days? Or, you know, how do you actually start getting funds transferred, you know, from your prospects?
Sure. So I mentioned that we raised $1 million seed. We're starting approaching the market, and the first 2 quarters we got validation on the vertical that we wanted to approach, and we decided to target the sales engineering side of the house. And in parallel, we started developing our initial version. As we were doing that, the first thing we did is while we had initial indications that this worth money, again, I mentioned earlier, even shipment cost, we were comparing the efficiency of sales engineers. We were talking about how many IT professionals do you use in order to support your 600 sales engineers in your organization. We were talking about inventory, just the cost of inventory. We were talking about challenges with the pipeline, etc. So we were gathering a lot of information, and at some point we decided, okay, we have enough. Now let's have some initial pricing and start getting confirmation. And we started probing. We had nothing was working at the time. We were aiming to have something working in a quarter or 2. And we closed the first deal with a presentation only, and this was great. This was Alcatel-Lucent.
Was the product ready?
No.
Okay.
No, it was a leap of faith. It was very, very early on, but it was someone with enough pain that was ready to take the risk, and paid us as things were coming to realization, and And so a year after, and this was, again, I should say, of course, we were also lucky. A year after starting the company, we got the first paying customer, and it was also a nice deal. It was over 40K, and a very good validation that allow us to push the pedal faster, to hire more people, to get more confidence with investors, and get another $5 million around there. And from that point, everything started. We launched the company. Later on, I relocated to the US, and everything started to fly.
Right. So tell us, so what is CloudShare? Because you mentioned how you went from the engineering side to the sales enablement side. And I know from some of the bullets Melissa sent me, you have a solution around demos, right? And you're allowing prospects to take control of their own presentation.
Not presentation, a little bit more. So CloudShare is an online service at CloudShare.com that allows you to create IT lab. And
what's an IT lab?
IT lab is a collection of virtual machines that has any software, from a database to SharePoint to health application.
Can I put Netflix on it and share it with my kids?
You can do that. Usually, you may be misusing the service.
Okay, Fortnite. Can I put Fortnite on it? And
still probably in the same category. So it's usually used by enterprise software, and it goes everywhere from Palo Alto Network that's using us for their security products, to Atlassian with their Jira software, or any software vendor, and can be ranging from health to finance and any other application. Can be complex as you like. We use virtualization as the underlying technology. But the important part, I just described what an IT lab is. So IT lab is a collection of IT software where the great functionality in CloudShare is that we, in 4 different verticals, try to automate your engagement. And we talked I think the most relevant for us today is the sales enablement. So when doing everything from a demo to a proof of concept and actually up to the integration, you can do that in CloudShare. And our goal is to make it as simple as possible, as powerful as possible. So maybe let me dive in and provide some details. So what we do is we help the software vendor initially create their solution in CloudShare. So let's take this insurance application that as an example, and your insurance application has some database and maybe Active Directory and maybe other servers. You can just install that in CloudShare as if you're installing it in your own data centers. It can be as complex as you like. It can be 10 virtual machines, storage, etc., data, whatever you need. And once you're happy with that, you have a template that you can later on start to use. And then what usually is the case, you take your sales engineering team and you allow all of your team to start using this template that we just talked about. So let's take this insurance application. So any sales engineer can just open the browser, log into CloudShare, and in a click of a mouse, in less than a minute, get a copy of that powerful IT setup. So you have the entire setup up and running in less than a minute, and can be as complex as you like. And our technology behind the scene is actually empowering that. Now, back to, I think, what you were talking about. Let's say that you have this dialogue with a prospect. Again, this insurance company has a dialogue with a prospect, and they show some presentation. At some point, they want to say, I want to see the software. this is where CloudShare comes to play, where you both can collaborate online, hands-on, on the environment, the real system. This is no slideware. This is the real software. You can start demonstrating, let me show you this advanced workflow, so how you initiate a loan in our insurance software. And you can see it. So go ahead.
So how do you go to market now? Because people are always wondering, what's working? Does cold calling work? Webinars, trade shows, how are you growing going into 2019?
Sure. So CloudShare is already already a large company. So right now we use mostly classical marketing, which means that we have a lot of marketing activities, from conferences to online presence and collateral. And a lot of people arrive to our website on a daily basis. At some point, some of them raise their hand, as we say in marketing, and show interest. They say, I saw your piece about how you shifted someone's sales process and allow him to shorten the sales cycle. Can I learn more? And then we take that lead, and of course we provide more information. And if it turns out relevant, we take a call. And then, of course, if it's relevant and that person has more interest, we initiate a sales dialogue. So that's our. So we do have, maybe to be more. Everything is direct for us. Online, B2B marketing. Sometimes we do use conferences, but mostly we use online marketing.
So you say online. So is it primarily inbound marketing, like content creation?
Yes, definitely. I think we see, my view, and I'm not the best marketeer, but my view is that that's where modern marketing is going. We generate awareness, and we get more and more incoming leads our way.
Right. And so do you have like outside salespeople, or are they just internal in San Francisco, doing the demos and the calls just from the office?
So what that's very interesting. We have both, and we have global coverage, not only in the US. But one of the things I should mention, again, maybe it's interesting for others to listen, is that people hardly want to meet us. And I think it's not because of us. I think it's something that's happening, and definitely in the last 10 years, where the face-to-face, and again, we're part of that revolution with of course, with our enablement in the cloud. People are less interested in the meeting. Yes, it's helpful, but what I found impressive, and we have 7-digit customers that are not always interested to meet us. And what I found, and again, it was counterintuitive to me. Again, we talked about this asking for the PO and so on, and we always love to meet, is people are saying, okay, tell me about your solution. Okay, can we take a short demo? Can I try that? I have, and it's very common, someone will say, I have some money left in my budget. I have $4,300, again, which is peanuts. Again, relatively, our deals are usually in the 6-digit and above. And we'll say, okay, try. Give it a try. And then they get a little bit more confidence and they say, okay, now I can put $50K into that. Now I can do 1 quarter engagement maybe. And then they go to a yearly commitment and they to multi-year. And many times, and that's, again, for me, it was interesting, without face-to-face meetings. So we do have hunters, we do have ISRs, but most times, I would say, most of the engagement is online.
Well, you know why that is, right?
Yeah, again, my view, again, we're all very busy. And
no, everybody works from home and they're not wearing pants. I mean, I'm not wearing pants right now.
I think it's definitely that part of it. But to be serious, I think that's definitely part of it. Another part is that we all try to do more and more. Again, even from home, so we spend less time on commute. And the other thing is, I think the product plays a more significant part, or the value, maybe I should better say. I want to test. And again, CloudShare is part of that with our solution, but also when people speak to us, they say, okay, you can shorten my sales cycle. You can allow me to do far more demos. I want to try that.
Are you finding that with the content you create, that the prospect is showing up pretty well educated and like they just have a few questions and they're ready to jump into either a demo or a small trial?
Yes, I think we were able in recent years to do better and better work articulating our value. And we talked earlier, it's you compared it to Fortinet. It's not a trivial message. It's enterprise B2B. So we find SE leadership and sometimes sales leadership arriving with very good knowledge of what we do and where should they start and what their concerns are, of course, what interests them. Yes, definitely.
So if the value is shown, right, and the prospect is educating themselves, is it a pretty easy order, easy sale once they're ready to go? Because I've always been of the mindset that, when you find the pain, right, and the value is demonstrated, I don't get into tough negotiations with people, right? It's like, you have a $5 million pain. I have a $300,000 solution that'll make the $5 million pain go away. Why do you want to fight me on this? Do you see, is there pretty low resistance or are they still haggling over dollars?
I couldn't agree more. I think, and that's what actually I'm telling entrepreneurs to look for, to find this alignment. I think this is what you were just describing in this product market fit. Well, when you get to that point, then yes, sometimes there is a little bit of negotiation, or maybe again purchasing need to say, oh, we need net 45 instead of net 30. But yes, you want to be, and I'll go back to, I think we talked about it earlier, I want to be in place where 6 out of 10 people that meet you and are in the right target market are saying yes. Not everyone will buy, not everyone has the budget right now, the authority, again, the classical band, but yes, that's definitely my observation as well. And it's not about golf or wonderful negotiation. It's about articulating the value, make sure you address the right journey for the prospect and support them.
Right. Very nice. Well, we will link out to cloudshare.com. Is there anywhere else we should send them, or have them start at your homepage and
Cloudshare.com is the best place. Yes.
Right.
And we provide everything around that, and we connect to our blog and other media avenues. But that's the best place to start. If something isn't clear, always welcome to drop us a line at info@cloudshare.com.
Right.
Well,
I will be in San Francisco several times in the next few months. So I'm not going to give you a heads up. I'm going to show up and see if you're actually wearing pants at the office. Okay? You need to be wearing pants.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Actually, if you are still recording?
Yes.
Okay. We're hosting some event. I'll shoot you in details in the coming weeks. So to be more accurate.
We will wrap this up so you can give me the secret stuff that we'll charge everybody to know what you told me when the recording's off.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Wes.
Thanks for coming on the show. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
What a happy, optimistic, smart dude, huh? I hope you got a lot out of that. I loved his story on how he's picking his co-founders, how he understood the problem and began working on it. That goes, a while back. But then as it evolved, his solution evolved. So he wasn't stuck on the original idea, right? He started with that, but he was open to making changes and adapting it to fit what the data was telling them. So like he says, new ideas and opportunities emerged as they made more calls and connections. And he got a lot of rejections before he got his first big round of funding. So get after it. I love how he talks about he found the challenges their prospects faced and they were able to quantify the pain. If your prospects can't put a dollar value on the pain, they have no reason to meet. It's too esoteric. That's why you push in the beginning and you have to get them to put a dollar figure. Okay? If you have a $10,000 consulting package, but your customer thinks they have a $2,000 problem, why would they pay you? But if they have a $20,000 problem or a $100,000 problem, then your $10,000 proposal makes sense. That's the art and the science, right? The science is knowing that you have to get them to give you a number. The art is how you make that happen with all the different personality types that are out there. How do you know? We have to adjust how we sell to match how the prospect buys. That's on us. How good are you at that? How good are you at detecting it and then making the correct change and conducting that meeting in the proper way to lead to the result that you want? And the result, really, believe it or not, is just getting to the truth. We've got Ian Altman coming up in the next episode. I just interviewed him today and talk about getting on the same side of the table, same side selling, not this controversial, adversarial type relationship. Let them know that your goal is to get to the truth. Hopefully the truth is they need to do business with you to solve their pain, that you're the best option. But that's not always the truth. You have to believe that. You have to be ready, willing, and able to refer away business. And when that confidence comes out, your prospects relax and y'all get to the truth. That's what you got to get to. Okay? Zvi does this. I don't know if he even knows he does it. Maybe he was a student of persuasion as well as mathematics and computer science, but he does it well. And that's why he's succeeding. He's got the technical side, but he's got the people side as well. So if you need help with that, the people side, human to human selling, come hang out with us. Come join the Make Every Sale program. Would you? Come on down. If you have questions, go to my website, fill out the contact us form. You'll get a link to my calendar. We can talk about this, see if it's right. But like I tell everybody, you have a 1-year money-back guarantee. If I can't help you make money in that amount of time, then maybe I'm not the sales whisperer. All right? MakeEverySale.com. It'll help you make more money. Thanks for listening. I'll go sell something.